Hey there everyone, as you know, we just had a legendary banner, and at the end of every month I like to kind of do a legendary tracker, just to kind of keep straight all of the possible legendary and mythic heroes that we're going to have in future months, and to kind of help you plan out your orb budgeting, pending any special banners that pop up in the meantime. And so that's what this is. We're looking at March onward now. February is... well, while I'm recording this, it still exists, but by the time this comes out, it probably won't be February anymore. So we're already looking ahead to March and what we have coming down the pike. So, quick glance, you can obviously see March. There's something interesting about March, and it's no green. April is jam-packed. May is also stacked, and then June is not quite yet filled out. So let's jump into March. So March has Ryoma, Lucina, Azura, and Air returning. Now the interesting thing about this is there's no green unit. We have 2 reps for blue, 1 for red, and 1 for colorless, but we don't have any green representation. And if you're keeping track, we are alternating between legendary and mythic heroes, and so we are due for a mythic hero this time around. So we are getting a green mythic hero of some kind, which is obviously pretty exciting because it's not a colorless mythical hero. We've only ever had colorless mythic heroes, being Duma and Air so far, and those are the only 2 that we have. So we're getting a different color mythic hero in March for sure. There are no green repeats. Green has no representation yet. So that's obviously pretty cool. I guess that kind of narrows it down to Green Dagger, Green Dragonstone, Green Tome, Axe. I think that's pretty much what we can have, right? For now. Well, bow. Green bow. Could be a green bow, too. So while there's some possibilities there and a lot of options, I'll cover that speculation in a different video, probably halfway through the month. But what fittingness is it to have a green hero in March? I approve. April. April's interesting, but not for the reason you might suspect. Roy is actually making a very quick turnaround here. He's only going to be gone about 58 days or so. Where normally, I think in the past, we've seen legendary heroes pop up every 3 to 4 months. Roy's coming back in just under 2. And so if you didn't get Roy or haven't been able to get Roy yet, don't panic. He's coming back in April. And man, if there wasn't really a big downside to pulling red on this banner for February, April is equally as opportunistic, honestly, because we have not 1, not 2, but 3 legendary heroes to fill out the red slot. That being Marth, Ike, and Roy. Whoa. That's kind of insane. So it doesn't look like we'll have any special representation or normal pool representation. I think it's literally just going to be these 3 legendary heroes in the red pool for April, which is bonkers. It's the first time we've ever had that happen, actually. We've always had some kind of diverse spread in terms of color pool. This one is straight legendary, like there's nothing else to it. So that's obviously a pretty good chance to pull for red. Roy is insane. Marth, equally kind of just, yeah. And then, of course, Ike, I mean, he is free, but merges exist for a reason, right? So, always interesting to check that out as well. So, any red 5-star you get in April on this banner will be a legendary hero of some kind. So that's probably the most noteworthy thing about April. In addition, we've also got legendary Hector, who is repping the green pool, and Fjorm, who is repping the blue. Now that, of course, means that we don't have any reps from colorless. We could get a repeat of Air. I don't think it's likely that we get a repeat of Air 2 months back to back. I guess it could happen, and if it does, if at the end, if the March banner pops up and it tells us all of a sudden that, hey, you actually have Air coming back in April, then I guess we're back to square one, kind of, right? it doesn't really make a huge difference, and we're we're back to speculating whatever. But presently, this basically means that we are going to have a colorless representation in the Legendary Hero pool for April. Now, what that could mean, I genuinely have no idea, but everyone's been thinking staff unit for a very long time. So maybe we'll get our first Legendary Healer that nobody has asked about or wondering where it is. It's definitely a possibility for sure. There's a lot of units that could definitely fit that role. And when the time comes, I'll probably make a speculation video on that as well. Assuming, of course, again, that Air is just not a repeat from March. And keep in mind, too, this down here, this is a brand new chart that Roy has opened up a can of worms in. Looking at you, you little ginge. We have two separate legendary charts now in addition to a mythic chart. So they could also be in this. They don't have to be in our current chart, which still has 2 blank spots, which agitates my OCD like no one's business. But either way, colorless could show up there, could show up in the original chart that we had. Who knows? We won't know until the end of March. May. May is kind of a bag of anything. We have red representation with Legendary Erica and Freed. We've also got green with Lynn, blue with Tiki, and colorless with Mythic Duma. Now remember, May is going to be a Mythic banner, but we've also got representation from every possible color pool. So that means anything can happen. I don't anticipate a colorless hero, just because we've already got 2 for the Mythic side of things, and we will have had a green. So I would probably wager that we'd be looking at maybe a red or a blue. Those, I think, are probably the 2 easier ones. Probably red. Red and colorless probably, in my opinion, the 2 easier colors to fill in terms of heroes. Just because colorless can basically be anything with a Dragonstone or a bow. And red, pretty popular color type, fills up most of the summoning pool already. So for what that's worth, May literally could be anything, but there are a handful of heroes that we haven't seen in several months now popping back up in there. None of them are free to play like the previous month in April, where we have both Fjorm and Ike. So for what that's worth, Duma, Lynn, 2 halves of the 2nd anniversary banner are back in May, along with Freed, who we just saw in February, and Erica, who took a good couple months off, along with Tiki. And then June. June's popping up again. Can't stop that month, am I right? Green, blue, and colorless are all represented. That, of course, means that the red pool is vacant for the time being. Now, while I'm inclined to say that means very likely we could have a red legendary hero, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Mainly because while like I said, red is a very color popular choice for legendary heroes, and June is a legendary hero month. We've also got Ryoma, Marth, Ike, and Roy now that we're waiting to hear back on, as well as technically Reed. I guess Reed could make a double, but probably more than likely we're going to see a repeat of Ryoma, Marth, Ike, or Roy. Probably Roy, that would be my guess. If not, probably Marth or Ryoma. But for what that's worth, I think more than likely we're going to be seeing a repeat of them. I don't think it's going to be a new hero in June. I think June we're going to have, by the time May's banner comes, right, we're going to have a whole lot of space filled in for June, and we'll have a much better idea of what that pool is going to look like. But right now, I would probably put money on, no, not even money. I would put orbs on the table and say that, you know, probably April's banner, we're going to see a repeat in June, somebody popping back up in June. And then we'll have a color filled, and then we'll be back to kind of a May type situation where everybody's already represented within the color pool, and there's not really any wide speculation going on. But it is worth noting that, for the record, the Cypher set that's coming out, which is the Fire Emblem trading card game, is very heavily focused on Binding Blade, and it's launching at the end of this month, that being March. And we're also getting a Binding Blade banner in March, so I feel like, genuinely speaking, Roy was probably bound to happen this month, and, you know, they leaked it anyway, so it didn't really matter. But all the signs were just kind of there. He was getting special Cypher treatment, he was getting, his game was getting a banner, and then, you know, obviously the Legendary treatment to kind of kick it all off right at the beginning of the month. So March is basically Binding Blade month, is what I'm trying to say, between all the Fire Emblem realms. We might see something like that pop up between now and June, where it kind of gives us an indication. The next Cypher set, the one that's taking place after March, the one, I think it's set 17, is actually slated to cover every color within the game. So it's actually going to cover like every series. Every Fire Emblem game will be involved in the next Cypher set, that being set 17. So I don't know if that's going to give us very strong indications of what's coming up in the next couple months, but there are a handful of good banners coming up as well, special-wise. So I'm also going to do a video on that sometime in the very near future to help give you an idea of how to kind of budget your orbs. And the very interesting thing that's going to be happening very, very soon is we have our first ever three-peat banner, that being the Spring Special banner. We have had new seasonal banners pop in every year, and so far we've only had 2 to deal with. But this time we're dealing with 3, because very, very soon we will have our 3rd spring banner since Fire Emblem Heroes creation. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle the year 1 spring, year 2 spring, and year 3 spring all together. So lots of unknowns coming up. Very exciting. Very exciting time to speculate on banners. So for what that's worth, that's what we got coming up. Who really knows what this new Purple Thunder will deal with Roy. That's planned for the April update, which is likely when we'll have a lot more information on a whole mess of things that are coming down the pike. But right now, that's what your outlook in Heroes Legendary and Mythic banners looks like for the time being. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. April, I think, is going to be a very strong month. I think a lot of people are going to want to pull on April and maybe May, honestly. But given the 2nd anniversary banner, I don't know how popular that one's going to be. Because the opportunity's just kind of been there, except for Erica, really. Oh well. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.